Hello and welcome to Dukascopy TV. Today I am joined in the studio with financial consultant Francois Aubert to discuss the financial developments in the Middle East. Hello Francois, nice to have you here today.
Hello Doireann, thank you for having me.
No problem. So let's begin with Syria, a country that is in a terrible turmoil at the moment. How bad is the situation over there and how is it affecting the economies in the Middle East?
Well, at the end of the day, the people is suffering and actually everything is blocked there. Nothing is happening. I mean, hotels are empty, there is nothing working in the economy, and the sad thing is it will last. It will last because if you still have opponents, if you still have people having arms to fight the Syrian armies because someone or some powers are behind. So we really have here a sad playground where two powers or more are just fighting together, and I don't see this ending soon. Maybe they will just add some more constraints on the country, but again, at the end of the day, the people who will suffer is these people you have on the pictures, the one in the street. Well, Lebanon is also touched because Lebanon and Syria have close ties, although sometimes there were difficult ties in the past, but it's still close, and you have more political turmoil than anything else in Lebanon, but it's quite important. Syria is a somewhat large country for the Levant area, so by definition it has an effect on the usual partners, I will say.
Okay, and is it getting any other financial aid from any other countries?
It's difficult to know exactly what's happening on the ground, again, because everything is hidden. So we know that money is flowing, we know that people are helped here and there, but it's very difficult to say how and to what extent. So there are a lot of things happening outside of the country as well, but it's very difficult to know exactly how it's working on the ground.
And moving on to Iran, sanctions enforced by Brussels recently to cut oil revenues and to curb Tehran's nuclear program has forced a lot of some of the oil buyers to actually stop all imports this month. So how do you think it will affect exports in July?
In terms of oil, it's difficult to predict exactly what will happen. Now, we know that some clients will remain clients, and I have notably in mind India and China. India decided to go for barter, which is not a bad idea. So therefore, they found a way to not to go against the sanction, but to still be able to buy oil. China will continue to buy. The only thing probably is the costs I mean, they will sell at a lower cost. I guess the negotiation will be harder for the Iranians. So my expectation is that Iran will continue to export more or less the same quantity, but at a lower price. So it will affect overall. However, Iran has huge reserves of oil, so I mean, they can probably comply with. This is not the main issue they have to deal with. The main issue is really the monetary system that is closed now, given the fact that they are no more in the SWIFT system, for instance, in the beginning of the year. And that is really affecting the country and the people. In January, when the US enforced these new sanctions, the inflation went up by 10-20% in one shot almost. Now, we are talking about a country that is 85 million. We have 85 million people in Iran. Long history, they are pretty much under sanctions since 79 now, so they know how to deal with. They have their own car industry, they have their own, electrical appliance industry. They can do everything on their own, which actually they do. This is the way they manage. So for them, it's time of adaptation, but they will adapt and they will continue. The only thing on oil, to go back to the essence of your question, is probably the oil price will be sold at a lower price.
Okay, and you're actually going to Iran soon to start a banking project over there. Can you tell me a little bit about what you're actually going to be doing there?
Well, basically, one of my specialty is dealing with clients, and notably private banking clients. What you have here in Iran is a banking industry that was affected by several legal and regulatory changes of the years. Now they seem to have a system that is pleasing everyone, but that is not very much developed when it comes to the clients. So it's not at all client-centric. And one of the things I'm advising them with is to be more client-centric, to better serve the clients, notably with private banking services, but not only. If you look at the organization chart of the Iranian bank, it's quite funny to see the client not really upfront as we see in Switzerland. So mostly helping them better servicing their clients who now also want a good service at home, not only abroad.
And now let's move on to Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
So they introduced 5 new financial laws. The most important one, which is a real estate mortgage law. This has actually been on the cards now since 2008. Why is it only happening now, and how is it going to affect the real estate sector in Saudi Arabia?
Well, the first thing is to realize that the Saudis want to have something that is Sharia compliant, Sharia being the Islamic law. So they had fears, first of all, they don't want to see interest rates. And second, they had fears regarding how to enforce bad payers. I mean, how to actually force the people to pay them, notably seizing their houses. So that were the 2 big blockage. Now, the fact is they have an inflation problem. Saudi economy is doing quite well, actually. They have a nice and smooth growth. A lot of things are happening. You have a new generation that is quite active. And it's quite a healthy economy. However, they have an inflation problem, as you can see on this table. So they managed to maintain it more or less around 5. It went slightly higher last year. The big problem they have is the rents. And if you see here, the renovation rent, fuel and water is clearly counting for 18% of that basket, of the inflation basket. And it's up by almost 8%. And this is a problem for the inflation management. And if you go there, actually you have a lack of notably land to build private real estate. A lot of land is owned by the royal family, and so what we had over the past years is a huge increase in the rent prices and in the real estate prices overall. The idea of making a law allowing people to be able to go for mortgage, because this is what we're talking about. Mortgage in the past, in Saudi terms, or actually in Islamic law terms, was a kind of I'm paying every month, but I'm not the owner of my house until I paid everything, which is something we can see in other places, but not for real estate. So what we have with the new law is the possibility for the people to become owner of their house against a mortgage. And you have the securitization of the mortgage, allowing the bank to do more about that. So you have that main law, and around that law you have a number of other laws to see to create the framework. We don't have many details yet, because that was promulgated by the government on July the 2nd. So pretty new. So we wait for the answer, but probably it will definitely ease the real estate market and hence the inflation, which is the main concern there. It's interesting to note, that they took a law on economic ground, and those economic grounds were more important in their view than other kind of concerns. And that is something very interesting, and that is also something that is new to Saudi Arabia.
Thank you for joining us today.
It was a pleasure.
That's all we have time for right now. Thank you for watching Dukascopy TV. Stay tuned for more exclusive interviews like this. Goodbye.